Today we're going to play some rambling, meaning I ramble a lot when I speak. 100, that's $100. NL for no limit. Zone, that's fast fold on Ignition. Ignition's the poker site. Okay, enough of that. I don't know what I'm talking about. Just stick around and watch, please. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Exceptional Poker Video. I'm playing a little bit of 100 NL Zone. I'm going to play maybe 20 minutes max here. Had some requests from some readers recently to show the kind of small to mid stakes games, not the micro stakes that I typically show on this channel. Most of the people that read Exceptional Poker and subscribe to my email list are small stakes, micro stakes kind of players who typically playing at kind of at most 50 NL online. And most of them are actually a little bit less than that, 25 NL, 10 NL, some as low as 5 NL. But the common theme among my readers and YouTube watchers is that people want to move up in stakes. This guy's in middle position here, kind of a weird stack size. If I re-raise, he might feel committed. I'm just going to dump the ace-jack and live to fight another day. So a lot of my readers are, micro stakes players, 25 and 50 NL and below. But the common theme is they want to move up in stakes. They want to eventually play at 100 NL or 200 NL or higher. And so I get a request a lot or questions a lot about, hey, what's the difference? What do I need to know to move up to the higher stakes? And the first thing to know is that you have to be beating the lower stakes, the stakes that you're currently at, before you really should consider moving up. Yes, I'm an advocate of taking appropriate targeted shots at the higher stakes occasionally, but really, for the most part, I don't advocate it unless you're kind of beating the stakes that you're at. Say you're at 25 NL and want to move to 50 NL, or you're at 50 and want to move to 100. I'd like to see, 30, 40,000 hands of poker played at that, your current stakes, and show that you're really not just beating it, but kind of crushing it, that you're really, you really have a handle on that stake and how to beat it, which means, minimum of 3 or 4 big bets per 100, kind of something like that. And if you're not, trust me, the players are better at the higher stakes in general. And if you can't beat the stakes you're currently at, pretty sure you're not going to beat the next level up or the next level after that. The players are definitely better. They here at 100 NL, let's just kind of walk through the differences here. Most of the players at this level are hand reading pretty well. Okay, let me back that up. They're hand reading. Some of them better than others, but they're certainly level 2 players, for better or worse. They are thinking in terms of ranges, what kind of range you have. They're thinking, some of the better ones are thinking about their own ranges. Going to raise the ace deuce here. This min open raise from a short stack is pretty lame. Most likely, I can get him to fold that. He's just trying to steal the blinds there with that little min open. Again, they're thinking in terms of ranges. Their ability to use the math is certainly pretty good in general. What I mean by that is they understand concepts like whether or not they're getting the right odds or not to call a bet of yours if they're on a draw. They understand notions of fold equity and certainly pot equity, the strength of their hand relative to the range they're putting you on. So for the most part, they're better players. Going to raise the ace-king here off. Ace-king off for value. Again, a little min raise like that is pretty lame. This is a coordinated board here. I've got a blocker to the nut flush, but he could easily come along here. I'm going to just check behind here on the turn because I think he's got a piece of this and is not going to go away if I bet. Oh, and now I'm just going to let it go. I could think about re-raising all in there, but because I think he could easily have a combo draw, for example, there. Anyway, the players at this level are generally good thinking players. They have the ability to put you on ranges, the ability to do the math and figure out where they stand relative to the range they put you on. And ultimately, they do a pretty good job of making the right decisions. Are they perfect? No, absolutely. This absolutely not. This is a very beatable level. I beat it for a pretty good win rate in general, higher than your average player in general, but because I'm playing pretty solid. And if you can get to the point where you're playing pretty solid, where you're doing those things, hand reading, using the math, making good decisions, implementing your lines with good deception, and so on, and then adapting to changes at your tables, you can crush this too. But you got to beat the lower stakes first, and you got to kind of demonstrate that at the lower stakes first before you jump up here and lose a bunch of money. So anyway, well, like I said, we'll play probably 20 minutes and then shut it down. I don't have a whole lot of time here. I'm going to re-raise here as a pure bluff. I've got some backdoor equity, but again, these kind of min-open raises are just so weak. You can't let people get away with that. Okay, I can hear the emails now coming from you folks. But Mark, you told us, PokerBug, you told us not to defend our blinds. I'm not really defending my blinds per se there. I'm not feeling like I'm married to the money that I put in the pot already in the form of the big blind. But what I am doing there is attacking weakness, and I think I can bluff there pretty easily, and that's what I'm doing. Okay, so this limp open is just lame. I don't like the ace so much. I can't put him on an ace. He could be limping, pocket fours here or something like that. But I'm going to continue the story with my kings. I'm betting for value is really what I should say there. So hope you guys are having a good Friday. I'm off for the weekend. Going to do some family stuff. Going to go up to our cabin. Going to take my wife and I are going up there. We're going to take my mother-in-law with us and spend Sunday up there. Bought a new truck, in part with some poker winnings. So traded in my old truck, bought a brand new 2017 Ford F-250 Super Duper, Super Duty, 4-wheel drive, Power Stroke diesel with all the bells and whistles. Kind of a toy, if you will. I can justify it for use at my cabin because I do haul a lot of stuff up. And my old truck, which was an F-150, was getting pretty beaten up on the drive back and forth. Oh, here we go again. Ignition seems to be really glitchy. Last night, I was really frustrated. I played maybe an hour last night. And a couple of times it just seemed to hang up. And man, one time I had the mortal nuts. I was playing some PLO. I had the mortal nuts on the river. Like half stacks were in. And it had been checked to me by a guy who I knew was going to call me. And I went to stick it all in, and the freaking ignition poker hung up on me, and I lost. I timed out, and I do not tilt very often in the form of steaming, getting angry, throwing my computer mouse, any of that kind of stuff. My form of tilt is more like lack of focus and discipline and fatigue and that stuff, and playing when I shouldn't be. But last night I was steaming. I had to shut down the tables because I was not a happy camper. And it was a big pot. I was playing at PLO. I was taking a shot, actually. I was playing at 50 PLO. I normally play at 25 PLO. And I was taking a shot at the higher stakes and felt really comfortable at it. Very comfortable with what I was playing. I'm not a great hand reader at PLO, but I felt really on my game last night and felt like I was doing a good job putting opponents on ranges and which is a lot harder at PLO. And man, that was just so frustrating. I started at 50. I'd ground my stack up pretty high. If this guy's got a pair, he's not going anywhere, but it's really hard to put him on a pair. It's hard for him to put me on a pair here as well. So he might peel one street or may even come over the top, in which case power position allows me to bail out of this. I'm probably going to check it behind here because I don't think he's going anywhere. Yeah, we whiffed. And I don't think he's going anywhere. He could easily have, pair of fours there. It's just not going to go away. So, yeah. Anyway, that was really frustrating last night because I had ground my $50 buy-in up to, I don't know, 80, 90 bucks or so. And then lost a huge chunk of it on just a stupid glitchy software. I'm still irked about it, as you can tell. Okay, here I think I'm just going to call and set mine. Basically, I'm out of position, and re-raising there is probably not going to get this guy to go away. $6 into 10. I think I'm going to bump it up right now, and see if I can get this guy to get it all in with his ace king, king queen, whatever it is. And he didn't. Maybe the right play there is actually to just call and then get it in on the turn, but pretty dry board. Yeah, actually, maybe just calling there and then getting the money in on the turn is the right play. I have to go back and replay that a few times and figure out the right play there. Anyway, I was steamed last night, and usually, a lot of players get steamed at the play of their opponents or maybe their own stupid play, that kind of stuff. I think I still have the best hand here. Pretty dry board. He's not going to go away. I got to double barrel this thing for sure. We'll play poker from there. A lot of people get steamed at other players or the bad play or the run of the cards, that kind of stuff. I was steamed at the stupid software. Ignition, I like the anonymous tables. I like the ability to get money in and out really easily with Bitcoin. I like the interface, frankly, when it works. There's a lot I do like about Ignition. They seem to be an above-board, reputable company that isn't trying to cheat anybody. They pay me out really consistently. But man, they just need to get some higher quality programmers to just fix some of these poker hangups. Another thing I've noticed with the Ignition software that just drives me batty is sometimes it will freeze and seem to be hung up. So I'll log out, log back in, and it will be doing an update to the software. So the freezing, I think, has to do with software updates. But then you're stuck for like 15, 20 minutes as the software does an update and they install a new version of the software. But so that's frustrating. But the fact that they do it in the middle of your session and it slows down the play of the game is just, you're ready to just, write them nasty letters or something. Very frustrating. But as you can tell, I'm over it. I'm absolutely over it. I think I got the best hand here, actually. Unlike the eights where we were raised from middle position, and I don't think a re-raise is going to accomplish much. I was re-raising for value here. Now, unfortunately, I've got a bet for value here and protect. I've got essentially the mortal nuts. I'm hoping this guy gets really frisky with 10s or 9s or something here and doesn't believe me. But, I'm a believer in bet when you have the best hand. Bet for value with secondary notion of protection. And so I'm hoping he's got the hearts here and wants to get it all in. And he doesn't. That's okay. Anyway, I lost my train of thought. So should be a good weekend. Heading up to my family cabin. Going to spend Sunday up there. Tomorrow I got a whole bunch of honeydew stuff to do around the house. And tomorrow's Saturday. Then Sunday we're going to goof around at the cabin, and then I'm just going to call here. This is a little unusual. This is a very playable hand from the small blind. I can get off it pretty easily. And of course, we got rebumped. It's 3 into 9. Yeah, I probably have enough equity to see a flop. We flop middle pair, pretty coordinated board. This guy is repping an ace. I'm just not going to get involved here. So Saturday is a bunch of house and honeydew stuff. Sunday is a goof-off day, and then Monday, unfortunately, I have to get up early and drive up to Phoenix to catch an airplane off to Maui. Going to raise the King 10 off for value here and see how it goes. So I'm going to spend the week on Maui for work. So not looking forward to it. I've got a couple of years left on my construction project. Really happy to see the telescope coming together, but the travel's just really is starting to wear me down. A lot of overseas flights and things, they take their toll. And I'm looking at retirement in a few years, actually. So kind of looking a couple of years down the road and looking at what I want to do then. But the problem is once you start thinking those thoughts, the near term, get the work done stuff is harder to wrap your head around, especially when it's a bunch of nonsense. I got more personnel stuff I'm dealing with, and drama is how it's described in the office place. And this is some drama that I got to go out and take care of, and it's just not fun stuff. But hey, that's part of the nature of the beast. I think I'm just going to call here. I rarely call pre-flop. I'm not a huge fan of calling. Sometimes with like that 7-6, yes. Here I'm just set mining. We're both more than deep enough to set mine. So we'll see what this guy does. Very dry board. Hard to put him on any piece of this. It's easier to put this guy actually on this board. But multi-way, four-way, my fives. Unless I spike a 5 here, I get to see a free card, spike a 5. I'm not putting another dollar in this pot, is how I'm playing it. So we're going to play for about 5 more minutes, actually, looking at the clock here, and then wrap it up. So I'm going to spend the week in Hawaii. So kind of not looking forward to that. People always kind of like give me quizzical looks or say, oh, yeah, right, whenever I tell them I'm not looking forward to going to Hawaii for the week. But Hawaii is a great place to visit, fantastic place to vacation. I've lived on the islands before, spent a year and a half, almost 2 years on the Big Island, and it was enjoyable, but it's very expensive. So it's not like going to some mythical place for me. If you've never been to Hawaii, I've spent a lot of time out there, actually. I've made maybe 100 flights out there, and as I said, I've lived out there a number of times. So it's not a mythical, wondrous place, especially what I do, because I work out there, meaning the closest I get to the beach is on approach into Maui, into Kahului Airport, and I can see the beach out the window, passing by underneath. Because what I do is I land, get in a rental car, and typically drive up the mountain and spend most of my time up at the construction site. Anyway, that's me whining and quacking. I hope you guys are doing well. I started coaching a new student a couple weeks ago. If you haven't actually seen his poker blog, I really recommend it. It's the Poker Monk. Really good guy named by the name of Robert, who's a pretty solid poker player, and we're working on some leaks in his game, trying to transition him. He's a live poker player, trying to transition him from the stakes that he plays at right now, which is kind of, I think 2-5, 1-2 and 1-3, and kind of move up to 2-5 and 5-10 more consistently. Plays live. And we've had a couple of sessions, been really enjoyable. He just is a good guy. You just enjoy talking to him and spending some time with him. But he's also a pretty solid poker player, and his blogs are really entertaining, or vlogs, I guess you call them. And so I'll put a link to his his vlog, his channel below. Recommend, if you haven't watched him, to go watch him. He's a fun guy to watch, and very self-deprecating and self-effacing, and good guy. So I'm having fun coaching him. And so we're going to do coaching for, probably 5 weeks, 6 weeks in total, something like that, which is, I typically limit coaching sessions to 4 weeks, a month in total, 1 or 2 times a week. If I can't fix what's wrong with you in 4 or 5 or 6 sessions, probably can't fix it without a lot more heavy duty work. And I've got a backlog of people always interested in coaching from me. So I do a student a month, 1 or 2 times a week. And with Robert, though, the poker monk, I'm going to, we're going to extend that a little bit, just for some other reasons. But okay, I'm going to check it back. It's hard for me to assume he's going to call with worse here or fold better. So I'm done with this hand. It might seem a little counterintuitive to you, but you've got to always ask yourself, why am I betting? I'm betting for value, or I'm betting as a bluff. When I'm betting for value, I think worse hands are going to call. I don't think worse hands are going to call there. Maybe, somebody might call. I can't imagine somebody calling worse there. I was going to say maybe tens or jacks, but those aren't worse hands than my king queen on that board. They're actually better than my hand. And I don't think that I can get better hands to fold, meaning anybody with an ace is not going anywhere. So that's why I'm giving up in that particular spot. You have to always, always, always think why you're betting. In fact, this is the thing I'm working on with Robert, the poker monk, is if he has a leak in his game, it's probably related mostly to the fact that he can slip into autopilot. And this is, in no way to denigrate Robert's skills. He's a very good poker player, as I said. But this is a very common problem that kind of intermediate players have, is that they know the basics. They know, pre-flop starting hand selection, bet sizing. They understand the math. They know all that kind of stuff. And they even understand the why of poker. Why are they betting and all of that stuff. But over the course of a session, they can often start slipping back into that sort of what I call autopilot mode, where they're saying, "Oh, I'm supposed to see bet here," and they don't actually pause and say, "Well, can I get worse hands to call or better hands to fold? Oh, no, I guess I shouldn't see bet." A lot of players, especially intermediates who haven't really made that step to the higher stakes and sort of the crushing limits session. This is a pure bluff, obviously. And that's a pretty good flop for us. 2 pair. A lot of intermediate players are good players, but then they can drift into that. They lose that discipline of playing really good poker over the entire session. And that's what we're working on with Robert primarily, is the why of betting. Okay, why are you c-betting here? Why are you opening the king 10-9 off here on the button? Well, it has some equity. I'm going to c-bet here because I've got a lot of equity now. I've got a flush draw, not a super strong flush draw. I'm going to peel one street, basically float in position. If he checks to me, I'm going to bet it. Fire back. He's not. He's fired again, so I'm giving up because he basically is telling me he's got a big piece of that. This is the sort of thought process you have to go through on every hand. You can't just kind of slip into the autopilot. Well, I'm supposed to c-bet here, right? Well, I don't know. Are you? Let's ask the 2 fundamental questions. Which worse hands than yours? Okay, here we got repopped. We're going to be in position. I think I'm going to rebet this, and I don't mind getting it all in here on against this guy's range. So it's really easy for me there to just call and then hope to hit an ace or a king. Or I can keep the pressure on him, and I've certainly got enough equity with my hand there to put the pressure, keep the pressure on him with a big, strong semi-bluff. That's what ace-king really is. It's probably the strongest semi-bluffing hand, which means it falls in between that value and that bluffing, those 2 questions. It's somewhere in the middle, which is fine too. There's no reason not to bet if you can find a reason in the middle there. You've got enough equity to where you think you've got enough fold equity combined with pot equity of your draw to raise, and that's what we're doing there. So kind of rambling here, sorry about that. and I am kind of over my limit. So the next big blind, I'm gonna click the sit out the next big blind button, and then I'm gonna shut it down. And here we go. This is the kind of nonsense I've been talking about. It's just so frustrating. And you think, okay, is this me? No, I don't think it is. This table is no longer available. What is that about? Okay, so we're done anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. I hope you guys enjoyed this. A little bit of a rambling session. I haven't done one in a while, so I felt a little rusty actually doing the commentary as we go, but I hope you got something out of it. If you got questions, please leave them below. Comments, leave them below. And even better, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. And when I see those subscribes, I get those notifications from YouTube that I've got a new subscriber. It really jazzes me to do the next iteration and get the next video out. I really like doing these. They're fun, but they're work. And getting some kind of positive feedback from you guys really matters. So again, hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're going to have a good weekend. I think I am. And I hope you have a good next week. I'm going to Hawaii. Woohoo! Hopefully you guys are doing something fun. So hang in there, drop me a line, and I'll talk to you later. Cheers.